From the Liberian Broadcasting System in Painesville, good morning and welcome to Lntv News Live. 30 minutes of news about Liberia, Africa, and the rest of our one world. Today is Monday, August 2, 2021. I'm Cecilia Glickly-Clark presenting this morning edition, and these are the top stories we're following. Commissioner General of the Liberian Immigration Service calls for urgent national efforts in addressing growing threats of human trafficking. Liberian Senate to begin hearings on the draft special budget Monday. Finance Minister Samuel Twell says the economy is experiencing stability due to sound economic decisions and policies being implemented by the government. And away from home, over 26,000 people who fled jihadist attacks in 2015 and southern Niger returned home. All these stories plus much more all coming up. But first, let's take a short break to be right back. The Commissioner General of the Liberian Immigration Service has called for urgent national efforts in addressing the growing threats of human trafficking. Commissioner Robert Bulley described human trafficking as the fastest growing crime that undermines national economies and human safety. He said while there are efforts from the international community to fight against human trafficking, much needs to be done to eradicate such an organized international crime. According to Konabudi, trafficking in persons is a grave violation of human rights which threatens national security and undermines sustainable development and the rule of law. The Senate Joint Committee on Ways, Means, Finance and Budget, Public Account and Audit will Monday begin a 3-day hearing of the draft special budget. According to a statement from the Senate Press and Public Affairs Department, the budget, if passed into law, would run from July 1 to December of 2021. The hearings are targeting government's revenue-generating institutions. On Monday, the Ministry of Finance, the Liberian Revenue Authority, the Maritime Authority, the Liberia Petroleum Refining Company, the National Port Authority, the Liberia Telecommunications Authority, and the National Road Fund of Liberia will appear. The hearings will continue on Tuesday with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Labor, and the Forestry Development Authority appearing in the morning hours. Finance Minister Samuel Twell has told citizens of Bond County that the government macroeconomic policies are on course toward achieving economic stability. Minister Twell says such stability is based on fundamental principles, including a decision to stop hovering from the Central Bank of Liberia. In an interview with this station over the weekend, Minister Twell said government has since stopped increasing debt on the country's domestic debt stock and reduced inflation to 8%. According to him, the current focus of the government is reducing the prices of goods and services, including transportation fares. To do that, especially in the transport sector, Minister Twere said government is expected to increase the number of transport buses at the NTA from 40 to 150. The Finance Minister thanked citizens of Bang County for the warm welcome and encouraged them to remain supportive of the government in the spirit of development. To this one, non-Liberians and organizations in and out of the country are making tremendous strides to ensure that coronavirus is defeated. Refuge Place International is one of those organizations actively involved in the fight with the donation of over 100 oxygen regulators to the Ministry of Health. Franzetta Yamfor is the Chief of Office Staff of Refuge Place International.
Refuge Place International, the amount of 50,000, which is equivalent to 8,500,000 Liberian dollar, so that we can go ahead with this community awareness, other activities that will help to curtail the issue of COVID-19 in our country. But when they got involved in buying the regulators, they told them, well, you say, are we doing the right thing? Is it the right size are we going to get to send to Liberia? So they got the first 2 regulators that were sent to Liberia and went through tests. When it was tested and proving that yes, that this is the regular size that Liberians need, they sent the second batch of 44, for which we donated at start date on the 15th of July with some other medical material, RPC material, rice for the staff and other things. They also told us why I said no. Just only the start date, it will not be helpful to our country because our country has a population of 4.5 million persons. So there are a lot of people who are faced with this very coronavirus. So they also decided to now send the second batch, 114. In the 114, we decided to give to the Ministry of Health, who will take care of the liver counter because there are other treatment units and other hotspots that this COVID-19 has been hit, so that the 57 we are turning over today to Ministry of Health so that they can be able to distribute to those hotspots area. We also have the all 57 plus other RPC material, rice and other things that today we will also be going to the 5 major hospitals in Liberia, AFK, Kelly Hospital, ELWA, KDJ, and Redemption Hospital, for which we'll be sharing the other 57 regulators.
While receiving the items, Health Minister Dr. Wilhelmina Jala thanked the organization for the gesture.
Important to note that you all were very gracious, the team were very gracious to donate oxygen, much needed oxygen regulator to start base at this time. Also, the donations that will be going to all the various facilities later on this afternoon. I'm sure all of those donations will be well appreciated and used for the intended purpose of reducing the COVID-19 related deaths within the country. We also want to accept with gratitude these 57 regulators that a distribution plan will be shared with you all as a way of just accountability on where these regulators will go to. Other counties have not been privileged enough to receive a lot of the regulators. So this will be an opportunity for them to receive, and as we already have made distribution plan to the counties, we'll just add up and then share with you what we are doing. We try our best to be very transparent, that way you know whatever that is received by any partner to the Ministry of Health goes out to all of the counties, and we have a record of that. We want to really appreciate these because as we move, like we all know, or maybe some people don't know, at this particular time, we already hit the peak of the third wave, and now we are down. We are coming down very nicely due to the efforts and the support of organizations like RPI and all of the partners that have really come together to support this third wave.
Well, it may appear that the story of the Nicole Ivanka vessel that sunk off the coast of Marshall in Maikibi County on July 17 is over, but it isn't over yet. What caused the ship to sink? Who gave it the go ahead to sail as a passenger carrier? These are all questions that need answers. Well, to find out, the Commissioner of the Maritime Authority, Eugene Nangwe, told ELBC on Friday that an investigation is to shortly be carried out by an IMO certified marine investigator.
We are obligated under both Liberian maritime laws and international maritime laws to investigate the marine accident. So it will be a marine casualty investigation, and the only person or group of persons who can lead such an investigation will be somebody who has the proper IMO certification as a maritime accident investigator. So we have hired the services of one of such individual, and he will be arriving in the country tomorrow to begin his task. So I've given him the warrant and the commission for him to be able to legally perform that activity. He's an Indian national, but his certification is British, and he'll be arriving in Liberia tomorrow.
Well, the Marine Authority boss also said a total of 8 bodies have been recovered from the vessel.
So far, we have confirmed that 8 bodies have been recovered, and the police have taken them to the symbiosis funeral parlor. Currently, the police and ourselves, we're working with the families to identify the bodies that have been recovered. The latest report I got last night from the police and from the Incident Management Center is that all of the 8 bodies have been identified. The recovery efforts continue today, where what's happening now is that the IMC is organizing divers to go to the actual site to first identify the site of the sunken vessel, and then the divers will go in. Currently, they are carrying out what we call onshore preparation, assembling the gear, acquiring the gear that will be needed. They will be doing mapping and all of the technical things that are required before they can actually dive and enter the hull of the vessel that sunk.
Police in Lofa County on Thursday made 8 arrests during the violent protests in Vonjaman and other major cities across the county. It comes after they blocked the entrances of the Vonjaman Administrative Building and other public offices, demanding the certification of Lofa County Senator-elect Brownie Samokar. But as Tokpatano reports, the police has released the protesters to the custody of Lofa County Senator Steve Zygle pending investigation.
The 8 protesters who were arrested yesterday have been released by police in the county after spending a night. I'm told by the county police commander that it was based on a request of the office of Senator Steve Jobo Amadou Zago, and that whenever they need them, they want to make sure that they can surface for questioning. So the investigation is actually continuing as we speak.
On what basis they were released?
What I've gathered so far is that it's a biddable offense because it's all about rioting, it's about disorderly conduct and felonious restraint. So it's possible that yes, someone could sign for them. And so that was how the office of the senator, the chief of staff in the office of the senator had to move in on the orders of the senator to sign for them so that whenever the police need them, they can come for investigation. We had a total of 8 persons who arrested. Top amongst the 8 are David Marvel, who happens to be the spokesperson for the Friends of Samuka at the level of the county. And then you have one Cedric Fala, who happens to be the general secretary.
Lntv Lofa County correspondent Tokpatano. For individuals who have not followed the U.S. Navy activities over the years, it has a long tradition of helping with disaster relief, undertaking medical assistance missions, and enforcing freedom of the seas in international waters. And Liberia, as a traditional partner, has over the years benefited from the U.S. Navy's operations. Currently, the USS Herschel Woody Williams is in Liberia on a scheduled visit to provide training for the AFL personnel and other Navy assistants to Liberia. In turn, Vashta Talu takes a look at the statement released by the U.S. Embassy on the arrival of the USS Herschel Woody Williams vessel.
The embassy said the U.S. Navy intervention visit to Liberia is a demonstration of its commitment to regional stability and maritime security in the sub-region. The USS Herschel Woody Williams, under the command of Captain Charles Graham, is on regular port visit and also aimed to strengthen the lasting partnership between the United States and Liberia. While in Liberia, U.S. military members will assist in training their AFL counterparts in peace and security. It will also highlight the essential role female service members play in national security. The embassy said the activities reflect the U.S. government's commitment to ensuring that the armed forces of Liberia is professional and effective in order to protect the rights of all Liberians. In welcoming the ship and its crew members, U.S. Ambassador Michael McCarthy described the significant role U.S. Navy vessels have played throughout Liberia's history. Ambassador McCarthy said in the earliest years of Liberia, their role was formalized by the Webster Treaty of 1842. It was an agreement between the United States and Great Britain that established a joint naval system for suppressing the slave trade off the African coast. For the next 20 years, the U.S. Navy intercepted 24 slave trading vessels and rescued over 5,000 from captivity. More recently, stationing the U.S. Navy ships USS Carter Hall, USS Nashville, and USS Iwo Jima off the coast of Monrovia in 2003 gave additional weight to President Bush's suggestion that it was time for life in Liberia to return to normal.
Vashta Talu with the release from the U.S. Embassy. What a positive news for Liberia. Well, viewers, if you just joined us, it's a reminder you are watching Lntv News Live, and these are the top stories we're following. Commissioner General of the Liberian Immigration Service calls for urgent national efforts in addressing growing threats of human trafficking. Liberian Senate to begin hearings on the draft special budget Monday. Finance Minister Samuel Twe says the economy is experiencing stability due to sound economic decisions and policies being implemented by the government. And elsewhere in Africa, over 26,000 people who fled jihadist attacks in 2015 in southern Niger returned home. We take a short break. To be right back. Thanks for rejoining us. I'm Cecilia Glickly-Clark anchoring. A war of words has ensued between Grand Cape County Superintendent Aaron Vincent and Senator Vanny Sherman. Superintendent Vincent is arguing that in line with law, Senator Sherman is not a signatory to the County Development Fund account. Therefore, he wants the senator's name removed from the account. Lntv Grand Cape County correspondent Jenna Kamuka has the details.
He set up a district development council to come up with a project in Vanny Sherman. So he set up a district development project across the county where he makes some money available from his own pocket so that each district can have a development meeting and come up with a project. So those districts had a meeting and each came up with a project. Those people that are supposed to do the construction when they did it, and then instead of those documents going to the project planner at the PMC, they are now taking those documents to Senator Vanny Sherman for approval so that they can undertake this project. So the Super now saying he had been advised that the senator should withdraw his signature because according to the budget law, he shouldn't be signatory to that account. So the SUP is pushing the budget law why the superintendent is talking about the mineral development law. This is where the problem is. Through the mineral development law, the senator's signature got on the county account.
Janet Kamukal is Lntv Grand Cayman County correspondent. Veteran Liberian journalist Hassan Kell is calling on Liberians to take advantage of the COVID-19 vaccine and be vaccinated. Mr. Kell said the vaccine is the easiest way to prevent someone from contracting the virus. Mr. Kell made the call in an exclusive Lntv interview Friday.
That's why they're encouraging a lot of people to take the vaccine because it makes it much less headache for people not to contract it.
The world now is battling the tail wave. I'm sure where you from is already on the increase there. Now with the tail wave going on, what can you say about what's happening abroad? And you've been here for a very short while now, but what have you seen in terms of what is happening there and what's happening here?
Well, in the state right now, people are thinking in other states as to whether they should do a mandatory mask wearing.
Okay.
Because in some states, after Corona ended, the legislatures in various states decided that, look, it was not necessary again because the threats have gone away. And then, so because of that, they passed the mandate in some states because all the states behave like countries, so they are quite different. What is binding in Georgia may not be binding in South Carolina or North Carolina or Washington or so. So some states declare that no more mask wearing and social distancing no more, But then the second wave, the third wave has now come and people are getting sick and the numbers are increasing. What's happening is that if you look at the demographic of the United States, most of the states, or almost all the states that are having increases in the cases are people who have not taken the vaccine.
Despite all efforts by government to contain the coronavirus, some citizens are said to be undermining the efforts. More than 30 coronavirus suspects are currently on the run in Montserrat County. The disclosure was made Thursday by Health Minister Dr. Wilhelmina Jala during the regular MICAT press briefing. Well, let's get to this other story. We will return with that development with Dr. Wilhelmina Jala explaining about the undermining of the fight against the coronavirus. She says some coronavirus or positive persons are on the run in Montserrat County. Let's take this development. President George Weah has mandated the Special Committee on Market Maintenance to ensure Omega Market is conducive for marketers. President Weah instructed the team to construct proper selling places for them. Our reporter Rachel Biangwe Colley was at the Omega Market and now reports.
President Weah's brief visit at the Omega Market was primarily aimed at observing the conditions of the marketers. President Weah then instructed the Special Committee on Market Maintenance to make the market a better selling place for the marketers. President Weah informed the team that the well-being of the marketers is a major concern that should be addressed with urgency. The president further mandated the team to ensure that preparation of the market is done speedily to avoid the marketers from being affected by the rain or unfavorable conditions. President Weah was accompanied by an array of high-profile government officials, including the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Nathaniel Mangill, Finance Minister Samuel Tuwel, Acting Public Works Minister Ruth Coker-Collins, and Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment Executive Director Kwewu Yeke, among others. The marketers were excited about the president's visit to the Omega Market to assess the deplorable condition they are faced with. Recently, Marketers at the Red Light and Gorbachev markets were relocated to the new Ominga market to enhance the Red Light to EAW Road construction project and decongest the two markets to give the streets facelift. Reporting for Lntv News, I am Rachel Gbangwe-Colley.
Rachel Gbangwe-Colley with that report. Well, viewers, let's go back to that story where Health Minister Dr. Wilhelmina Njala disclosed that 30 or more than 30 coronavirus suspects are currently on the run in Montserrat County.
Based on what we see so far, we cannot recommend a lockdown at this time. Looking at all of the economic situation, looking at people not, they are abiding, but they need to abide even more. I think if we encourage people and make sure that we tighten up the current regulations, funerals, no funeral in funeral home, because everybody wants to go to funeral. That's a big gathering. 20 persons or less in the funeral home to go for burials. If we can stop most of the games and other things, we're working with education ministry to decrease, if you can leave the little kids behind and only educate the bigger ones for now, where they will have more rooms to spread out, those things will work. So I think we should have like a week, 2 weeks to see how things are going before we make a recommendation. Lockdown, you got to go to curfew or partial lockdown before you can go to full lockdown. But I think,
well, individuals and companies engaged in collecting loans from commercial banks and defaulting on payment should by now start to think again, as they might be blacklisted for or denied usage of the banking system. Central Bank Executive Governor Aloysius Talud sent out the warning to defaulters on Thursday during his reappointment induction ceremony.
One of the difficult problems here is high non-performing loans. Some people take their hard-earned money and put in the banking system. Other people go to loan money, they take your money, and they can't pay back. And you got some people who are serial, what they call serial killer who engage people, they are serial defaulters. All right? They're always there, defaulting this bank and that bank and that bank, they're getting in the system. And I spoke to Fonsa the other day, and Fonsa said, I wanted the right regulation, but Fonsa said, no, Chief, they are in the book. I said, oh, so we have it in the book, but we do nothing with it. It's there. So we said, okay. We will have a study, we'll sit down how we deal with the serial defaulters, all right? We'll try our best to either blacklist them or the companies, or make sure if the company don't do business, we don't allow them to use the banking sector anymore. Because if you need the bank to transmit your money, and we say don't use the bank because you don't want to pay your debt, then maybe that will force them, because if they got to do business overseas here and there, they need to use the banks. So.
At the same time, Governor Talud said the CBL has begun rolling out its 5-year strategic plan.
I'm pleased to report to you that the 5-year journey has already started. It started with one, the approval of the Act in October, the CBL Act of 2020. In that Act, there are some key legal framework that allow us to function more, like the latitude for 3 years, printing, a lot of things in the Act. So we follow the agenda with the Act, all right? Also, the strategic plan. So, on the strategic plan, there are several strategic imperatives that we going to set out that will help us. Those imperatives are attaining and maintaining domestic price stability, stable, safe, and modernized financial system, efficient services to the government, financial markets, and the public, safe and sound and efficient payment system, and the digitization of the Liberian economy. We just got a deal not too long ago with UNDP, World Bank, African Development Bank to help roll out our payment system. And that's a good path. 3,
Central Bank Governor Aloysius Talud, that's the local saying. Let's now take our foreign development. More than 26,000 people who fled in 2015 jihadist attacks in southeastern Niger have been repatriated to their hometowns in the Darfur region. Niger authorities said the people from 8,190 households had been transported to 19 villages at the end of the first phase of the IDP return operations. The region bordering Nigeria is home to 300,000 Nigerian refugees and internally displaced persons driven out by the atrocities of the jihadists of the Nigerian group Boko Haram and its dissident branch of the Islamic State group in West Africa. Nigerian public television showed images on Thursday evening of the last wave ending the first phase of 11,733 people on that's en route to their locality in trucks chartered by the authorities. These displaced people had found refuge in sites around more secure villages, UN camps, all with relatives across the region. Well, viewers, on that note, this is how we end this morning edition of Lntv News Live. But before we go, a recap of the major stories we've been following. Commissioner General of the Liberian Immigration Service calls for urgent national efforts in addressing growing threats of human trafficking. Liberian Senate to begin public hearings on the draft special budget Monday. Finance Minister Samuel Twell says the economy is experiencing stability due to sound economic decisions and policies being implemented by the government. And away from home, over 26,000 people who fled jihadist attacks in 2015 in southern Niger returned home. Many thanks to our entire production team for making this morning edition a success. Many thanks to you, our valued viewers, for always following. Thanks to Ellis Carson, who ably conducted this broadcast. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Cecilia Glickly Clark. Good morning and have a pleasant day from Painesville. Please keep safe.